All right, good morning, y'all. Welcome to the Positivity Push. I've got my guest here, Ruth. Griffin is in the house. I'm super excited. We're going to be talking about a couple things today. We're going to be talking about the power of inclusion and what's it mean to really include, because we have that power, and then obviously the power we receive when we are included. And then this one, y'all don't realize how gifted she is. We got books galore. This woman right here knows how to write, and she is super gifted. So we're going to talk about how to maximize those gifts. So first and foremost, let's get to business. We are going to go ahead and share this broadcast on our Facebook pages, and we want you to do the same thing. So click share, and we will get this show started in a couple minutes. All right. So thank you guys for joining us this morning. Share, join us. All right. Share. So yeah, just go to the Positivity Push up there, and then go click share. Alrighty. There we go. Yep. If you scroll down, click. Yeah, right there. Click share. Awesome. All right, good morning, Mr. Willie Gibson. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. All right, we good? All righty. And then share now. Yeah. All right, so good morning to everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. So, again, we're going to be talking about the power of inclusion. What's it mean to really include? And we're going to talk about the current situation that our country is facing when it comes to diversity and inclusion. And good morning, sir. If you will, share this broadcast, and then we're going to talk about how to maximize the gifts within. So it's kind of a two-topic day. So thank you guys for joining us. And we are about to start. So y'all sit back, relax, and be positive this next hour. All right? Share this broadcast. Because this app is trying to change your life. All righty. Okay, get this going. Alrighty. Is your seat down too much, or you?
No,
okay.
I'm fine.
You're good. Okay, cool. Oh, you want? Yeah, I'm just yeah. Alrighty.
Cookies, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NBC.
Good morning, Brenda, my mother. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Share this broadcast. Thank you for sharing. It's going to be a good show, y'all. So we're excited that you're here and starting your weekend off right with the Positivity Push. Myself and my guest, Ruth Griffin. While you're joining in, go to thepositivitypush.com as well, and for more information. And that's the music, so let's start. All right, let's get it going. Good morning, positive people. This is the Positivity Push live on 103.5 FM, WCOM, Chapel Hill and Carborough's community radio station. It's your host, Antonio Santoro of The Positivity Push in the hot seat. Welcome to the show. Sit back, relax, and be positive for the next hour. Join us in the studio on The Positivity Push Facebook page. All you do is type in The Positivity Push and join myself and my guest as we brighten your morning. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this next hour on the Positivity Push, 103.5 FM WCOM. Alrighty. Good morning to everybody. Thank you guys for joining us. If you've not shared already, go ahead and do that. And pump those hearts as well. Not the hearts. I feel like that's Periscope. Pump the likes, the all that stuff as well. So if you've got questions throughout the show, we're going to be talking about what it means to include others and really just learning the way to really go about confronting the divisiveness in our current society and how we can push positivity in our community. And then we're going to talk about maximizing our gifts and how to do that through whatever gifts, talents, and abilities you may have. So it's super exciting. Thank you guys for joining us, waking up and winning with us this morning. So it's going to be good. There's Rocco. Good morning. So, Ruth, do you want to say hey to everybody?
Hi.
Yes.
Nice to see you again.
Yes. So, Ruth, where are you originally from?
I am originally from New Jersey.
Originally from New Jersey.
Yes.
So, when did you move down here?
20 years ago.
20 years ago. So, you're pretty much a North Carolinian.
Oh, yeah, at this point,
adopted
yes.
it. Good morning, Rocco.
Good morning.
How are you, sir?
Doing pretty good. You know, we were down.
I saw the email.
Yeah.
Was it crazy? I was at a conference last week, so I wasn't able to be here.
I
By the way,
came
tell
in.
everybody here this morning. Hello.
Hey,
On the
how
show.
are you, everyone?
All right. So this is Ruth. This is my
Hi.
guest.
Ruth, nice,
Nice
to
to
meet
meet
you.
And he's got a show right after me. So
Um,
yeah, I heard the power was out last
The
week.
power was off. I came in at about 8 and everything was dead in the water.
Yeah.
And then the power came on about quarter after.
Wow.
And I got everything going so that we could go on the
Yeah.
air. And
Well, I saw the email. Thank you for getting everything together because
we had a time though.
I heard. What did y'all do? Just
Well, we had to wait for the power to come up. But what we still can't figure out why it went out here. It went out about 5 in the morning.
yeah. Wow.
And then
wow.
was off.
Good morning to everybody.
are
We
you
got
from?
the Fullers on.
Where am I
from?
Thank you,
New
JJ
Jersey.
Johnson, for
New Jersey.
joining
Where in
us.
New
Thank
Jersey?
you so
I
much
was born in Raleigh,
for joining us.
London.
So appreciate you guys for
Pretty
joining
familiar.
us.
Okay.
Jersey. I
If
grew
you've
up
not
in
shared, go ahead and share it. This is going to be a great show.
I was from Newark,
Thank you guys for joining
Yep.
us this morning.
just down the highway.
How was your week, Rocco?
It's been busy,
Yeah?
like all of them.
Yes, as always. As
It's
always.
hard to have a simple life now.
Well, is it really?
It really is.
Rocco, come on now.
Hey, as
Really?
old as I am now.
But you're also, don't you have like a house in the mountains, a house on
Yeah.
the beach? Like, so you rip and run this state. So
I'm across the state.
I'm telling you.
continuously.
Yeah. I'm going to the beach right after this show. So
Well, good.
Going to the Carolina beach, enjoying the day. Have a nice little.
Have a great
Oh,
show.
I plan to. It'll be nice. It'll
Good.
be a good day.
Let me get some of this stuff
You
out.
have a good show coming up?
Yeah, I've got some material that I haven't played in over 10 years.
Yeah. I tell ya. You've been in the game for a while. Good morning, Miss Jonna. Thank you for joining us. If you guys have not shared, go ahead and share this broadcast. Some of y'all know this guest all too well, Ruth Griffin. She is thebomb.com, and she's she's awesome. So I'm grateful that she's on this morning. It's going to be a good show. All righty. You're going to get ready to start back. And that was Far Flung Tin Can with their song The Church from their album No Turning Back. And it really is all about we are the change the world is waiting to see. And that's really what we are. We're called to be change agents. We're called to be people to go out and use our influence for good. So that's what our show is going to be about today. I want to welcome all the listeners this bright Saturday morning, live here on 103.5 over the airwaves for your dose of positivity. Thank you for joining us. Also the viewers, yes, that's right, the viewers of the Positivity Push page on Facebook. You can actually tune in to the studio with myself and my guest, Ruth Griffin, which I'm about to introduce very shortly. While you're at it, visit thepositivitypush.com for a little bit more information and to reach out to your host, Antonio Santoro, and the show. So if this is your first time tuning in, the Positivity Push, welcome to the most positive place on the planet, located here in the corner of Chapel Hill and Carborough. This is your feel-good fix. This show and movement is to inspire, encourage, and empower you through various interviews and uplifting music. So thank you guys again for starting your weekend off with us, setting those alarm clocks, and winning. The Positivity Push wants to welcome a very special guest to the show this morning. She's a mother, she's an author, she's an advocate, and so much more. As our current society faces such divisive rhetoric from Capitol Hill to Chapel Hill, from the top to the bottom, my guest doesn't shy away from speaking the powerful truths in the midst of chaos. Sometimes the truth hurts, and yet my guest provides hope through the hurting. She's also gifted in her writing, as she is an award-winning author and publisher who has written multiple books, one of which recently came out, The Book of Joy. Came out on Wednesday, right?
That's great.
Yeah. So I am super excited for my guest to share her own story in pushing you to maximizing your gifts within. And this is, again, a true positivity pusher. Miss Ruth Griffin is in the house. I'm super honored that she's here. Wonderful guest, and sure to brighten your day this morning as we talk about it. So, Ruth, good morning. Say hello to the people.
Good morning. Hello.
Hello. So, as we were talking about a little bit off air, she's originally from New Jersey. She moved down to North Carolina 20 years ago, and I'm sure it was a culture shock when you moved down here at first.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And now she's just adopted the North Carolina way of life. And so I'm super excited that she's on. We're going to jump into this interview right after this song, Feeling Good. It's a new dawn. It's a new day, by none other than Michael Bublé. All right. So good morning to everybody. Sophia, thank you for joining us. If you have not shared this broadcast, what you waiting on? This is the Positivity Push, and we're going to be talking about a few topics today, how to maximize your gifts within. This one right here, Ruth Griffin, is so gifted in a variety of ways, but one of the gifts that we're going to be talking about is her gift of writing and being an author and really sharing a story, a narrative through different projects, and she's done that, and she's been very successful in that. And we're also going to talk about how to combat divisive rhetoric and learning how to push positivity in contentious situations. And I think that's important because as we know, the world can get a little chaotic, and you see it on the media, you see it in the boardroom, and you see it at the water cooler. And yes, Ruth rocks. Rich Biz says Ruth rocks, yes. So it is going to be a really great show. Feel free to share this. Miss Leah Gibson, thank you for joining us. Raphael, thank you for joining us, sir. As we push this positivity this morning and really allow people to get involved with their positive life that they're called to live. So good morning, Miss Portia. Thank you for joining us on the Positivity Push. As we go through this broadcast, feel free to, great morning. As we go through this broadcast, feel free to type up your questions, comments, and it will be said over the air if I can catch them. And we can give you a little shout out. So thank you guys for joining us again. I appreciate it. While we are waiting for this song, because we got about a minute and a half left, we're going to go ahead and just show these books. And so these are just a few of the books that Ruth has written. Speak Tenderly to Her, Stay With Me, and The Best Love. And this is the award-winning one, right?
No, the Speak Tenderly to Her is the award-winning one, the Latino Literacy Program.
Speak Tenderly to Her is award-winning. What was the award? Latino Literacy. Latino Literacy. And this right here, I mean, if it's award-winning, why not read it, right? So, and then recently, she came out with, just on Wednesday, y'all. So y'all pump the hearts, pump the likes, and give her a huge congratulations, because she just released another project called The Book of Joy on Wednesday. And this is an ebook right now, right? Or is
no, it is available. I just don't have a copy of
Gotcha.
the book yet.
Sure.
So, but it is available online.
Yeah, it's available online. So yes, pump those hearts, congratulate her, because she birthed another baby this week, y'all. I mean, she's already out of the hospital and up and going. No, she just kind of came out with this new project, and super excited for her. Super excited for what the future holds. All right, so let's continue on. All right. And that was Feeling Good by Michael Bublé. And I don't know about you, but I feel good this morning. It's a feel good, your wake up and win fix of the Positivity Push live on 103.5 FM WCOM. You can also join us, WCOMFM.org or thepositivitypush.com, or join us in the studio on Facebook. So I've introduced my guest, Ruth. Ruth and I have been a part of the same ministry for about 4 years, and she is a leader in her own right, and again provides great insight regarding the hush hush, the things that people really don't want to really confront. She really speaks truth to, and the things that really people are afraid to talk about, she is not afraid at all, and I love that about her. From mental illness to immigration, there is no topic off limits to her, and I'm super excited that she is here. And that's how it should be. Her heart is for the people, and that's what's so amazing about her. So she's truly a positivity pusher. I can't do justice by just speaking about my experience with her. So I'm going to formally introduce her. Ruth E. Griffin began telling stories at a young age, first with pictures, then with words. Though she considers herself an artist first, she wrote her first book as a teenager. What? Yeah. As a teenager. We're going to talk about that. And has continued writing since then. Ruth is now the award-winning author of several fiction and nonfiction books which center on women's experiences. She's also the founder of Studio Griffin, a full-service vanity press which publishes books that inspire spiritual growth. When she's not writing, she focuses her time on bringing awareness to cultural and current events. A New Jersey native, Ruth now resides in North Carolina with her husband and three children. Her books are available at all major online bookstores. Visit ruthegriffin.com for more information. We'll plug her again throughout the show. But welcome, Ruth, to the show again. I'm super happy that you're here. Thank you again to wake up and win with us this morning on the Positivity Push. And you're getting a bunch of congratulations and awesomes on Facebook Live. So thank you again. So the first day of school is fast approaching. All right, a lot of people are about to start school, college, and K through 12 school. It's also the 8th month, and we know 8 is the number of new beginnings. Today, the topic is really to challenge our thinking and new perspective of inclusion. Do you remember that time, the first day of school, where it's the first day of middle school when you marked your territory in the lunchroom? Like, you sat down and you're like, all right, this is my seat. I'm good. And you're praying and crossing your fingers that you wouldn't be sitting by yourself, or the cool kids would sit with you, or your group of friends had the same lunch period as you. And so there's that feeling, that anxiety, that I guess trepidation that many people may have on that first day of school, because they're like, all right, got to make sure that I'm good and I'm set and I'm included, right? There's some power there. There's a power that we have to include others. Maybe you're an adult and your office decides to go out and get lunch and they forget to get your lunch order. How does that make you feel? How does that make you think in that moment? There's a power to include others, and there's the power to receive inclusion. It feels good to be included, right? So we can utilize that power. We're going to talk about that because, as I mentioned, Ruth, my guest, speaks on cultural and societal issues. And one issue that we have seen time and time again within the media and then within our current society is the lack of inclusion, the lack of providing a safe space for people. And oftentimes there are people that are pushed to the outskirts based off of their differences. And really the differences, and this is a key right here, your differences really make up the body. Your differences make up the group. And that's what makes it so beautiful, the tapestry of the United States. And so I think that's important. So Ruth, I want to ask you again, because you do not shy away from speaking on this stuff, speaking truth to power. Tell us, let's just lay the framework. What does inclusion mean to you? And why is that important in society?
Well, inclusion means being included. That is the basic definition of it. But I think more importantly, it's part of being something
Yes.
bigger than you, being something that gives you purpose.
Yeah.
Oftentimes we just get up, we live our lives, and that's it. But being a part of something allows us to have more purpose in our lives.
Yeah, and that's what's so important. It's like, what are you wanting to be included with? And so that's an assessment that we really could push a little bit. Say you are that middle schooler and you're just kind of like sitting there and you're like, oh, I want to be with the cool kids. And we have that mentality as adults. Don't get it twisted. As adults, we can think, oh, we want to be included in the clique of the office. But really, what value do they add to your life? I mean, maybe that clique or that popular group or what have you won't add benefit. And so I think that's so important that you say, inclusion isn't necessarily just being included. It's really being included with purpose. There's a purpose behind it. What's the value that's being added to your life? So I think that's really important to note. And as a Puerto Rican woman, you're obviously a minority, and today's media coverage speaks a lot on the diversity and the inclusion or lack thereof. And I think that's important to note that as our world is getting smaller with communication and transportation and so many things that really, again, with technology, everything is getting smaller and it's like, what are we going to do with this? So tell us a little bit about your story. Tell us briefly about your story growing up as a Puerto Rican woman here in America, and what was the time when you felt not included?
Well, you can cue the violins now.
Right.
So.
Here we go.
Well, I grew up in New Jersey, so it's a little more diverse, up north than it is down here. So, but human nature is human nature. You have your cliques, you have your groups, and they were, going to school. You had the Portuguese, you had the Italians, and they sat together, and there were maybe 3 Latinos in my class. So it was like, okay, and they couldn't speak English. So, of course, we had our own little clique. But, like you said earlier, when I moved down here for the first time, it was a culture shock. Because now, there's a difference being told, okay, you're not Italian, so you can't sit with us. But now I'm being judged on the color of my skin. And that was a big culture shock.
Yeah.
It was just like, where do you get that?
Sure, right.
And it's not that I didn't experience it in New Jersey. It was just, now I'm being forced to choose. Okay, I can either sit with the white kids or I can sit with the black kids, but there are no Latinos in school at all.
So even when you moved down here, the because again, it has grown in the last 20 years, but even when you moved down here, there was such a sparse population of the Latino community.
Yes.
a trailblazer, I guess, if you will, in that, for lack of a better term, in that particular demographic, in your settings, in your settings?
Well, I moved down to Virginia originally, so I've been in the South before, and honestly I didn't like it because I thought, I don't like this mentality. I don't like the pace of life, so I'm going to move back up north, and I did. And that's when I came back to the South, to North Carolina. It was more of a trailblazing for myself because I came to understand that, even if you're not going to make space for me, I will make space for myself.
That's it. So there you go. I love that right there. If you're not going to make space for me, I'm going to make space for myself. And that's really the posture and the stance that many of us have to take. Whatever the difference is, you make space for yourself. And when you stand in that space, that's when people will gravitate to you.
Yes.
If you're looking for the space, that's when you may not find it. But when you're standing in the space, that's when the space is created for you. And that's so important because, again, that confidence, that the power that you have to stand in your own skin. I mean, and not be ashamed of that. I think that's really powerful to think about. And as you've seen, I mean, even in the 20 years that you've been in North Carolina, where there hasn't been as much diversity as New Jersey, how has that mentality changed? Because you said that at first you just were not feeling the mentality at all.
Right.
So how has that mentality changed, if at all?
I think it has, and it's kind of hard to explain, but I believe that it has, but it has not.
Okay.
Because, we, for a long time now, I think we lulled ourselves into a false sense of inclusion. We said, okay, we have Latinos, we have Blacks, we have, Africans, and said, okay, we're a melting pot. Okay, the South is changing, but, the attitudes didn't change.
Yeah.
The quiet, murmuring didn't change. The mentality didn't change.
Right.
So outwardly there was some change, but inwardly there wasn't a whole lot. And if you can't change what's inside, eventually it will come out.
It will come out. And that's so good, Ruth. I'm telling you, because again, I've said this many times, your scars will speak for you. Yeah. If you don't speak for your scars, the scars will speak for you. So what you don't confront internally, it will come out. I've said that multiple times on the show. So you're just mimicking everything that I've said before, and I love that because it really does hold true. So just because we look like we're a melting pot, we're not adopting the melting pot mentality.
No.
And that's what is... and even here it is 2018, and we still haven't adopted some of that inclusion. And
no.
It's that is difficult. I don't know, I may be jumping the gun here, but what are some how do we create movement here? How do we create a shift in our mentality from a Puerto Rican woman's perspective? What's the shift? What has to take place?
You know what? The thing that has to take place is it starts with you. I mean, honestly, you have to decide that you're going to include others in your life. We live in a smaller world, but that smaller world has gotten bigger because there are so many people and so many issues, and it's like, okay, you have your issues, you deal with them, I'm going to deal with mine, and I'm going to be over here in my own little bubble and my own little island, and please don't interrupt.
Right.
Don't interrupt on that. And, we hear about issues, in Texas, across the country, across the world, and it's just, well, there's nothing I can do about it, so what's the point? Honestly, like when this whole immigration thing started in Texas, we're in North Carolina, it doesn't affect us. I'm sorry to hear about that. That pulls at my heartstrings, but what can I do? I mean, and same thing with things around the world. There are countries that are bombing their own people. Right. But what can I do? Yeah. And we have to decide that, what? I can get involved. I can include myself in that issue. Yes. And make a difference. It might be small, but if we get enough people to say, okay, I can do something, we can start changing.
Exactly. But the change has to start with the inside, as you mentioned.
Yes.
And if you're trying to figure out, does this align with my morals and values? Does this align with my thought process? I mean, putting children in cages. If that does not align with yours, then keep going and keep living your life. But if it doesn't align, and if there's something again that you just feel troubled about, why not move? Why not change in that? Because again, and I love how you even brought in not just our country as the United States and our issues here, but you're talking about the world as well. And people aren't thinking globally.
No.
I think again that's a societal, cultural mentality where it's this level of we're America, the great power, and it's just us. And whereas if you go to Europe, or the countries are so tight knit. I mean, it's more uncommon to not have a passport because they're traveling all over the place over there, and there's a lot of inclusion over there, in a lot of ways. So I think that's really, really cool and key that you brought that up. That we need to think globally here. This isn't just a domestic issue. This really is a world issue, and it starts internally. We got to figure out. We got to check our morals, check our values, and what is it that we stand for, and then create the change through those morals and values.
Correct.
Love that. And so we talked about that. Since I started this show, I've had mostly minority guests on here, and any one of them could have answered that question. But speak again. These are social justice issues of the United States. Emphasis on United. And we talk about remedies. So let's break it down. What are the practical remedies that people can do to create change in society?
Well, we live in a very privileged land.
Yes, we do.
We have laws, we have rights that other countries do not. And again, because we're so focused on ourselves, we think somebody else will do it.
Yes,
Somebody who's more motivated, someone who's more, okay, well, they're an advocate, so they'll take care of it, But, I mean, there's something that everybody can do,
Yes.
You have a right to call your congressman.
Yes.
You have that ability. They're sitting there waiting for it. They have someone assigned to the phones. Give them a call. We put them in office. They are working for us, not the other way around.
That's it. And that's so important let me just, again, we need to remind people that our government officials from the top down are working for us. Like, they're our employees, practically. And because we hired them. And so why are we not giving them roles and responsibilities to address?
Yes.
I think that's so important to remind people. I didn't mean to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's
so
fine.
Talking to our government officials, yes.
Absolutely. And, I mean, start at a local level. Because, I mean, all the things that are happening in Washington, they're sour, they're not great, but you know what? It starts locally.
Yes.
It starts with the laws that are being passed in our own town. It starts with the little amendments that they're attaching to bills. It starts with, the people that we're sending to Washington. So we need to start where we are at.
Yes.
And it'll have ripple effects on that. We need to decide that we're going to vote.
Right.
But we
That's
can't just because we don't like who's running for office doesn't mean that we can't hold them accountable.
That's exactly right.
Put somebody there.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And these are the ways, these are the strategies, these are the remedies that we as society can push positivity and really include everyone as the United States. What are we speaking for just ourselves? I mean, when we go to the ballot box and we put in our vote, or if we're calling our congressman, I mean, yes, of course, it will typically directly affect our money, our life, our lifestyle. However, we got to think about how is this affecting, immigrants in our country? How is this affecting LGBTQ community? How is this affecting, the different diverse communities within our society? Think about that. And and again, as I mentioned, the litmus test, you assess it based off of your morals. If it's not something that you necessarily agree with, then go with it. So I think that's so important. I'm loving this conversation as we talk about inclusion, the power that we all have, the power of inclusion, and really learning how we can include others by that power and the power that we receive by being included. Think about this, all right? Just think about this as we go to this next song. Think about what if, again, the majority race is Caucasian in America. What if you were the minority? How would you feel? When we come back, I'm going to tell a story about an experience that I had. And it was not a pleasant feeling. It was not a pleasant feeling because I was in a setting, which I often am in, a setting where I was the minority. And we'll reconvene after these next songs. So again, I'm here with my guest, Ruth Griffin, on the Positivity Push. We'll be right back after this song. Janet Jackson, Together Again. It's time to come together, y'all. Time to come together. All right. So, good morning to everybody again. Thank you guys for joining us. Francina, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Miss Francina. Appreciate you all for joining us. Thank you for the hearts. We're talking about inclusion. And again, the power that we can really apprehend as we move in inclusion. This is my sister. She is awesome, Ruth Griffin. Just because she's a Puerto Rican woman doesn't mean I'm discluding her. Same thing, white male. She's not discluding me, not including me, because is discluding a word? So she's an author as well, and I was just thinking is discluding a word? Probably not, but you guys understand what I'm talking about. Good morning, Miss Tina Moore Brown. Good morning. So. I got to watch my words around her because she's an author. And we're going to talk about that as well. She is an award-winning author and gifted in that area as well. So we're going to talk about that right after these next couple songs as well. But again, the power of including, again, how would you feel? And maybe you've had the experience where you haven't been included. And, she comes from New Jersey. Ruth comes from New Jersey, which is a diverse community. And when she came down here, she spoke about it already. The mentality was not an inclusive mentality. Mm-hmm. It was definitely small-minded, and we got to change that because here it is, 2018, and I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's been a little bit of progress, but we've still got some room to grow, guys. Yes, and it starts with us. Ruth is also a leader at the ministry that we both attend, and she's the leader of a ministry called Healing Waters. And it's really talk a little bit about the purpose of this particular ministry and what your goal is.
Well, the purpose of our ministry is to bring awareness to cultural and current events. Yeah. And just to make connections with the community so mm-hmm. that, we can, find healing for, things that ail us, like racism and just things like that. Yeah, and that's so important. So she's a leader of a ministry, Healing Waters, but also we could all do that. We don't have to be a part of a ministry to do that. We could reach out to different groups that don't necessarily look like us or think like us and figure out how we can partner with them, right? And that's one thing that I love. I love that platform. That thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Francina. Thank you, Gilda, for joining us. And that's important to do. So we're pushing you into positivity this morning, allowing you to change your mindset when it comes to the differences that people have. Because again, she's got a totally different perspective on life than I do. And again, our culture, our upbringing, our lifestyles really can benefit each other. That's how we're puzzle pieces. We come together with the differences here. So just something to think about this morning as you wake up and win with us on the Positivity Push. And it's really good. I'm loving this conversation because it's different. It's not the typical you've got a purpose and
it's not, I mean, it's practical real talk. And that's what Ruth is. She's real talk Ruth, because she doesn't hold any bars when it comes to speaking truth. I mean, again, she sees as a minority woman, she speaks and sees the deficiencies that our society has. And she speaks to that, and she tries and attempts to create change. And that's one thing that I wanted to bring up also. You know, in public relations, we have what's called the 3 A's: awareness, acceptance, and action. And what I love is that Healing Waters, the ministry that she leads, brings awareness. And really, as a whole, we accept it. And it's up to us to create that action. Yes. You know, we've got to not just, you know, awareness is great because we're aware of it. But what are you doing with that information? What are you doing with it? Okay, we got 10 seconds. All right, here we go. Back to it. And that was Janet Jackson with Together Again. That was a nice little throwback. I love some Janet Jackson. This is The Positivity Push with Antonio Santoro, live here on 103.5 FM WCOM. And you can join us on thepositivitypush.com, or actually in the studio on Facebook Live. You can just type in The Positivity Push. If you want to be a sponsor, go to The Positivity Push. This show is actually sponsored by my brand new business that I opened up this week. It's a coaching services business. So if you are looking for life transformation coaching, go to www.antoniosantoro.me. AntonioSantoro.me. I'll post it also on the Facebook page as well. But if you're looking to transform your life, your thinking, your behaviors, and really just need a coach throughout life, hit me up. I will be glad to do so. And I'm super excited that I started a new endeavor. I'm super excited about it. So yeah, and we're going to be talking about maximizing our gifts here shortly. But I'm here with my guest, Ruth Griffin. She is an advocate and an author. We're talking about the power of inclusion and how we can impact our community and our world, because she brought up a great point. It's not just our world, not just our community, not just our nation. It's the world that we can impact by living our positive life, by pushing that positivity and including others. And before the previous song, we talked about how does it feel to not feel included? I mean, again, as a minority woman, you've experienced it probably a lot more than I have.
Yes,
yeah.
That is correct.
So I will tell a quick anecdote where I was obviously a white Caucasian man, and I go and visit a friend of mine who was ministering at a church that is of a different race, and I felt discriminated against, and it felt horrible. It felt horrible. Again, you talk about how, I'm going to make space for me, and that's really the mentality I had. They didn't even sit in the same row as me. I had the whole row to myself. They were standing alongside the walls, and it was just like, oh wow, this is what this feels like. And I had looks, and I had some people talking, and as you said in the previous segment, this is something you've experienced multiple times, and many people experience it more than they should. Let's just be honest, more than they should. They shouldn't experience that. So it was definitely a sobering experience, and an experience that I'm grateful for, because it really allowed me to be in that experience and learn, what exactly it feels like to be that minority in a majority setting. And we even, you're Puerto Rican, I'm obviously a white Caucasian, and we attend a predominantly African American ministry. And let's talk about that. Yes, you're a minority woman, but you don't have the same perspective and cultural experience as an African American. I don't, obviously. What's that experience like for you? Because I know what it's like for me. What's it like for you? And let me ask this as well. I think it's so important to say. I want to ask you, what is different about us? I believe that it takes a lot of courage to step into an environment that doesn't look like us, that has a totally different background than us. And I believe that there's something to be said about that. And I want to ask again your experience on, what does that feel like for you? To step into an environment that is totally adverse to what you've experienced.
Well, I have to preface that saying that, for a majority of my life, I have been the minority.
Okay.
So I've never, I do remember my grandmother's church was, it was Cuban church. Mm-hmm. So even in that, okay, we're all Latinos, but they're Cuban and I'm Puerto Rican.
Right,
so
right.
That was, even in that setting. But, the thing is, you find common ground.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's it.
That's where you start.
Yes.
For myself, my husband is African American.
Mm-hmm.
Love his family. They are my family now.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there was that connection there. That was my common ground.
Yeah.
There. My children are mixed, obviously. So it's so even for them, they're unfortunately, in this society, they have to find
their way.
Yeah, they have to find their way. They have to pick.
Mm-hmm.
Which camp they're going to sit
Sure,
in.
sure.
And to me, that's kind of sad because,
it is.
It's not about necessarily defining who you are, but just finding common ground with other people.
That's
it. It's just it doesn't matter that you got less melanin than I do.
Right. Right.
Or that our church has more melanin than both of us combined.
Right.
So it's just what is that thing that brings us together.
Exactly. That's it. And so it's not necessarily looking at the differences. Yes, our differences are beautiful, but what is the common ground? Yes. What do we share? What's the values that we share? And for that, again, if you think like that, that really is what's going to bring people together. Mm-hmm. That's really that's the power of inclusion right there. All right, so we've exhausted that. I hope that the listeners and viewers have gained some nuggets and some wisdom. Thank you for sharing and being transparent in that, Ruth. But we're shifting gears a little bit. Again, accomplished author, and she's got her own publishing company. You are truly gifted and award-winning. So tell us briefly about maximizing this gift of writing. You mentioned, or I mentioned in your bio, that you started writing as a teenager.
Yes.
And that is a huge feat in and of itself. So tell us a little bit about your maximizing your gift. How can people maximize their gift? But tell us about your experience and what inspires you to write.
Well, I have been told that the reason a lot of people who've read my books like them is because they reflect reality. So what inspires me is just every day.
Yeah.
It's just people, and honestly, I am a quiet person. I'm shy, but I feel that I am attentive. So I may be listening to you, but part of me is also going, hey, I can put that in my next book.
Right.
So, it's just there's enough. There's a saying that goes, something's stranger than fiction. But it's just, you don't have to make that stuff. Like, you can just draw from what's around you.
Yeah.
And
that's it. That's good.
And my focus on a lot of my books are romance, but more than that, it's love.
Yeah.
Because love can fix, it can heal, it can bind, and you put reality and love together and you've got a great story. Yes,
reality and love makes a great story. So what inspires Ruth is really just, again, the everyday living. It doesn't have to be a cataclysmic event. It can just be walking into the office. It could be, and there could be your office mate just smirking and maybe commenting on your new hairstyle, and that's something that you could possibly use. Again, it's just the small things, and we often overlook the small things of life. I want to point that out. We're such in the rush and the busyness of life that sometimes we overlook the small things. So I love that you reflect reality in your books. And that's something to be said. What strategies could you provide those viewers and those listeners to really maximize their gift? I call it tags, their talents, abilities, gifts, and skills. What can people do to maximize that? And how did you do that? I mean, you talked about, let's talk about the teenager part, because I don't want to skip over that. How did you maximize that as a teenager, number one, and then what are some strategies that you could provide?
Well, like I said, I was always, because I was shy with drawing, I took to drawing and to writing.
Okay.
And it was kind of a rough period in my life at that point, so I wrote. I kept writing.
Yeah.
And
that was your outlet, right?
That was my outlet.
Gotcha.
Yes. So it was, and before I realized it, I had filled up an entire notebook. And, we didn't have computers back then, so everything was handwritten.
Right,
so.
right.
I realized, I didn't realize till after I had done it that I had written a book. And, I was 15 or 16 at the time, so it was just like, oh, okay, whatever.
Right,
I just
right.
set it aside and it got lost, so I have no idea, and I only remember parts of it now.
Wow.
But, it was a part of me. It had always been a part of me, and it was just waiting for me to find, the right story, the right outlet for it. So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's really inspiring to think about. As a teenager, you knew that there was something inside of you that was your outlet. That was your way of going and just implementing what you think your purpose is,
Yes.
And again, that's profound to say. So what strategies, and again, what are some strategies that you have for the viewers and listeners?
Well, I would say, I went through a period in my life, after the teenager bit and I got rid of the book, obviously life happens and, sometimes we lose our way, but, there's always a way to find yourself back, to find your way back, and, be attentive to just the things that you've done, that you've always done, because a lot of people will say, and I've heard other people say this, that you look back on your life and you're like, oh, it was always in me.
Yes,
to
that's
do
it.
Just number one, be aware of what's in you. Look back. What talents do you have?
Yes.
Do you enjoy doing certain things? My husband, he's always enjoyed cooking. That was one of the things that kind of astonished me when I first met him, because in a Latino household,
right,
men don't cook.
Right.
So when I met my husband, I was like, wow, he knows his way around in the kitchen. But it was until years later that he created his own barbecue sauce, and I was like, oh, that was always in you.
Yes.
To start with. So
wow.
Be aware of what you enjoy. There's a reason.
That's it. There's a reason behind what you enjoy, your passions. What are you passionate about? Oh, that's so good. I love it. So you are passionate, obviously, about writing.
Yes.
Talk about your products. We've got some here in the studio. I'm going to highlight, but let's talk about some of these products. Let's start with the, let's do it in sequence. What's the first one that you...
Okay, this was...
Speak tenderly
to her.
Speak tenderly to her.
Yes.
Award-winning. Tell us about this award.
Well, it was, it's an organization called Latino Literacy International, and they are... they promote literacy in Latin authors
Awesome.
in the United States and Mexico and Central America.
Wow.
So I competed and won first place in romance in the Bookstore Film Award.
Very cool.
Yes. Thank you.
Very cool. And then following that, Stay With Me.
Yes.
Was her next book, and these are independent books. This is not a series. Different stories for sure. Stay With Me.
Yes.
And The Best Love.
Yes.
We've got here, and again, these are all romance genre.
Yes.
What other genres do you write?
I also write nonfiction. My first book was it's more Christian focused, but it talks about destiny.
Oh wow!
And just moving past your past.
Yeah, that's
to
good.
Get to the point where you want to be.
That's good right there. Yes. I may have you back on just to talk about that, because that's good. So, and we've got Francina on Facebook Live that says writing kills the soul. That's really good. Has writing killed you through difficult times? Even as a teenager, you said that it was a difficult time.
Yes.
Has writing been a healing outlet for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I know this one in particular, Stay With Me, it focuses more on mental illness. And even, that's something I don't share too often, but
Sure.
I'm learning to share now is that, you know, I struggle with mental illness.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've come to the point now where I am healing and I'm learning to deal with it. And that book was in an especially rough time in my life.
Yeah.
So I can look back on it and go, you know what? Love pulled me through that. Now I can share that with others.
And just going back and seeing that is a cornerstone, if you will, just of the growth that you've had, you know. And then, yes, we've got people on here talking about how great your books are. Ruth's books are awesome. Love them all. I have to get the last one. And we're going to talk about this last one. She just came out with, on Wednesday, congratulations, the Book of Joy. And you can go purchase all of these books. Talk a little bit about, tell us how they can, just plug yourself away. Tell them how they can purchase these.
If you go to ruthegriffin.com, there is a my bookshelf link page on there, and it's got links to where you can purchase all the books. So it's got a little
ruthegriffin.com.
Yes.
Wow, y'all, this has been good. We're going to jump right back and kind of conclude the show after this next song, Human, by Natalie Grant. Human. You're human, I'm human, we are human. All right, let's do this. We're not going to play this whole song because we're going to run out of time. But I hope everybody has enjoyed this show. We're about to wrap this thing up in the next couple minutes. Ruth has been such an awesome guest this morning, talking about including and the power of how we can include one another by an encouraging word, a smile, a pat on the back. That's something simple we can do, but something even greater that we can do is talking and creating the change by talking to our government officials, voting, and really creating a movement of inclusion, right? Gilda says, I'm inspired. For years, I've known that I wanted to write books. I just need to start somewhere.
Yes.
So yeah, just start. So how to give them a little bit of tips on how to just start. Like what's the concept?
Honestly, just start writing. That's the thing. You know,
how are you?
You write by hand or type, you know, just start at it. And then eventually, you know, I'm more of an organized person, so I have to outline everything, but just start. You know, find a place and start. And
right.
Well,
yeah. And so, I mean, that's it right there. Just start, you know, think about, brainstorm, you know, what are some things, is that the process you do? Just brainstorm? Or
I do. I develop the story, I outline it. So I'm a very meticulous person in that way, but there's some people who just write off the cuff, who know the story's already in their brain, and they just sit down and write.
Wow. So. Awesome. All right, we're going to wrap up. Thank you guys again on Facebook Live for joining us. And it's Rocco's turn, so we're going to get out of the way, but I'm going to wrap this up, all right? All right. That was it, guys. That was the Positivity Push, live from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Another edition of the show here on 103.5 FM WCOM with my guest, Ruth. Ruth, thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you again. We hope that you have enjoyed this morning's show. I'll be back next Saturday at 8 a.m. Have a winning weekend and week ahead. Stay tuned for Rocco and Music Hall from 9 to noon. And always remember, be positive. Join us, thepositivitypush.com, and on Facebook, The Positivity Push. Be positive, y'all.
Sounds like you had a good show.
It was great.
Yeah.
It's easy
Nice
when you
and
have
smooth.
It's easy when you have a great guest like Ruth. Easy. How are you doing?
Good, I'm Mary.
Hey, nice to
Mary
meet
wants
you.
to join WCO.
Mary,
you
welcome. All right, so we're going to wrap this up. Rocco, say goodbye to the people.
Hey, Have a good week.
I said say goodbye, not hey. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, but we're going to wrap this up. Thank you guys for joining us. Ruth, if you will, tell them we're in the sun. All right. No, thank you guys again for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed the show. And thank you, Ruth.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Have a great week ahead. All right. Be positive.